I want everyone there when it happens, Caleb said. Let the guests witness it. That way she can't twist the story later. I had only meant to bring down the holiday linens. The hallway closet squeaked if you opened it too fast, and that sound saved me. I froze mid-step, barely breathing. She won't fight it. Madison replied, her voice sharp and low. She's been forgetting things for months. The guardianship hearing is a formality. My hand gripped the doorframe. My knees wobbled. I stared at the oak banister my late husband and I had refinished together 2 decades ago. The same staircase Caleb had tumbled down when he was 5, and I'd carried him to the ER heart, pounding the whole ride. I've already got the doctor's statement, she continued. Daniel signed it. Early stage cognitive decline. We'll read it after dinner when everyone's seated. Calm, controlled. We'll say it's for her safety. For her safety, Caleb repeated with a chuckle. And then we assume control of the house. The account. Everything. My breath caught. I pressed a hand to my chest, steadying myself. I wasn't confused. I wasn't slipping. I was standing in my own home, overhearing my only child plot to declare me unfit, publicly. At Christmas. I don't think she even remembers the house is in her name, Madison added. That's when something inside me clicked back into place. They didn't know. They didn't know I'd never changed the deed, that every mortgage payment had come from my account, that the safe in the bedroom still held every document they thought I'd forgotten. I backed away slowly, letting the shadows swallow me. No confrontation, no noise, just silence and the quiet tightening of resolve. I didn't know what I was going to do yet, but I knew they weren't going to humiliate me in my own home, and they weren't going to win. Not if I moved first. The house was mine, bought in 1986 with Harold long before Caleb was even born. We painted every wall ourselves. He laid the tile in the kitchen with his own hands. I picked the rose bushes out back the spring before he got sick. After the funeral, I couldn't bring myself to leave. Too many memories. Too much silence. That's when Caleb came. He said he wanted to help, that I shouldn't be alone. I believed him. I let him move in. Madison followed 6 months later, claiming the guest room like it was owed to her. Then came the slow creep of control. Little things at first. Replacing my cookware, rearranging the medicine cabinet, changing the internet password without telling me. They never paid rent. Not once. I covered every bill. Electricity, water, property taxes. I even added Madison to my grocery rewards card so she could get points when she shopped. Looking back now, I don't remember agreeing to that either. But I never changed the deed, not even when Caleb insisted it would make things easier for estate planning. I smiled, nodded, and filed the paperwork away unsigned. It's still in the safe in the back of my closet, along with the original title, the bank records, and the notarized copy of my will. Everything they think they quietly replaced is still right where I left it. They assumed I forgot. But I didn't forget. I let them feel comfortable. Let them believe they had more power than they did. Maybe I wanted to believe they loved me, even if it was transactional. But last night changed that. Now I saw the whole picture. They weren't waiting for me to slip. They were building the case themselves. Forging the diagnosis. Setting the scene. Timing the announcement so it looked like concern. Except I was still here. Still lucid. And still the legal owner of every square inch of this house. Which meant I still had time to burn their plan to the ground. The next morning, I waited until they both left for work. Caleb to the firm, downtown Madison to the clinic with her smug little travel mug. And then I took out the kitchen trash. 3 bags. I opened each one slowly, methodically, the way Harold used to sift through blueprints, looking not for what was obvious, but what didn't belong. The envelope was buried under coffee grounds and paper towels in the 3rd bag. Legal letterhead folded twice. I peeled it open with shaking fingers. Petition for emergency guardianship and conservatorship in the matter of Lenora Faye Whitmore, an alleged incapacitated person. I sat down hard on the garage steps. My name in bold, my birthday, my address. The signature line, Caleb Whitmore, petitioner. Attached a physician's statement. Signs of disorientation, confusion regarding time and place, impaired judgment, progressive memory loss, risk of harm to self. Signed by someone named Dr. Daniel Rollins. I had never heard of him, never met him, but there his name was rubber stamped onto the future they'd already arranged for me. The script was written. They were just waiting to stage it. I scanned every page using the app on my phone, the one Emily installed for Harold's estate papers years ago. Then I encrypted the files and emailed them to someone I hadn't spoken to in almost a decade. Roger Elkins, my husband's old lawyer. I didn't explain much. Just wrote urgent. Please review and advise. Confidential. It was 2:12 p.m. when I hit send. By 2:14, I'd shredded the original and buried the pieces beneath eggshells and damp coffee filters. They couldn't know I knew. That was everything. At 6:30 sharp, I plated Caleb's meatloaf and passed the roasted carrots to Madison like nothing had changed. He talked about parking rates. She complained about her co-workers. I nodded, smiled, poured them each a second glass of wine. They had no idea the room was already burning. And I wasn't going to be the one caught in the smoke. The email from Roger came before sunrise. Short to the point, just like him. Until a judge declares you incompetent, you retain full control of all property and assets. Move quickly, quietly. That was all I needed. By 8 o'clock, I'd called a real estate lawyer in Prescott Valley. Her name was Marin Holt. Her voice carried the calm assurance of someone who'd handled worse than family betrayal. I can prepare a fast-track sale, she said. You'll need to sign in person. Do you have proof of sole ownership? I do, I answered. And I intend to keep it that way. The drive downtown felt mechanical muscle memory from my old library days. Paperwork. Files. Deadlines. The difference was that this time I was the one being cataloged for removal. Marin met me in her office above a print shop. We went over the documents carefully: deed, tax receipts, title insurance. Everything still under my name alone. She nodded slowly, then looked up. If you sell before any guardianship hearing, the property transfer is final. Legally irreversible. Then schedule it, I said. December 23rd. She blinked. That soon, I'm told, the holidays make people generous. Afterward, I drove to a different bank 2 towns over and opened a new account. The clerk smiled politely, unaware she was saving my life. I transferred every cent from the joint household account. Not stolen, reclaimed. At the post office, I rented a small P.O. box under my own name. It felt like opening a door to somewhere no one else had the key. Back home, I printed the sale documents and tucked them into the safe behind my bedroom dresser. I slid a note on top, written in my neat librarian's hand. The house isn't mine anymore. Good luck with your holiday plans. Then I closed the door, locked it twice, and listened to the faint click echo through the metal. For the first time in months, I felt the ground settle under my feet. Tomorrow, I would see if they noticed the shift. The morning after I signed the transfer documents, Caleb wandered into the kitchen in his usual half-buttoned shirt, scratching his jaw and eyeing the coffee pot like it owed him something. He leaned on the counter, watching me slice strawberries. Hey, Ma, you invite anyone yet for Christmas dinner? I didn't look up. Of course. Family matters, right? He smirked like I'd just handed him a shovel to dig my own grave. Yeah, that's what I've always said. Madison appeared a few seconds later, perfectly timed, like she'd been listening from the hallway. She sat at the table, scrolling her phone with one hand, resting the other on her growing belly. We'll need to make a little announcement too, she said lightly. Big moment. Might as well do it with everyone here. I poured her a cup of tea without blinking. Sounds lovely, I said. They smiled at each other. I smiled at neither of them. After they left for the day, I stood in the quiet kitchen for a full 5 minutes, not breathing, just listening. Then I opened the cabinet under the sink, lifted the false bottom Caleb never noticed I'd installed, and slid the flash drive into the hollow space. Every forged document, every fake letter, every version of the guardianship application they thought had vanished into the garbage. Labeled, dated, and backed up twice. I pressed the panel back into place and set the dish soap on top like nothing had happened. It was strange how calm I felt, like watching the final minutes of a play you already know the ending to. The tension wasn't in what might happen. It was in letting them believe they were still writing the story. That afternoon I baked a pie, cherry their favorite. I folded the crust edges neatly and tied a green ribbon around the base of the dish, then placed it in the fridge with a note for Christmas Eve. Serve warm. It would be the last meal I made in this house, and they would never know it. The hotel wasn't fancy, just clean quiet and far enough from anyone who knew my name. The front desk clerk handed me the key with a polite nod, not even bothering to ask why a woman my age was checking in on Christmas Eve with 2 suitcases and a file folder labeled personal. I appreciated that. Some silences are a kind of mercy. Room 229 overlooked the parking lot and a flickering gas station sign. I set my things down, plugged in my phone, and opened the curtains just wide enough to watch the streetlights blink to life. At exactly 4:35 p.m., my phone buzzed. Caleb's name lit up the screen. I let it ring once, twice. Then I answered. Ma. His voice was sharp, too sharp to hide the panic underneath. Where are you? Everyone's here. We're waiting. I took a breath. Check the safe. He paused. What? The safe in my closet. Top shelf. There's an envelope with your name on it. Wait, what is this? The shift in his tone was immediate, like ice cracking. Mom, are you okay? I smiled, the first real smile in weeks. I'm just fine, Caleb. Merry Christmas. Then I hung up and turned the ringer off completely. The silence afterward was thick and perfect. I poured myself a glass of wine from the bottle I'd packed dry red, the kind Madison always turned her nose up at, and sat in the little armchair by the window. Outside, the world kept moving. People drove to dinners. Children in pajamas waved from the backs of SUVs. Somewhere music floated from a second-floor balcony. I didn't feel alone. I felt safe. I took a slow sip, leaned back, and let the weight lift from my shoulders like dust shaken from an old coat. By morning, the house would no longer be theirs to take. And by then, it would be too late. Caleb didn't waste time. By December 27th, he'd already filed a petition to void the sale. Emergency motion. Claimed I wasn't of sound mind when I signed the papers. His affidavit included vague statements about confusion, memory lapses, instability. None of it true. None of it new. Just recycled lies given legal weight. I expected it. So did Marla Jensen, the attorney my husband once trusted with our wills. I'd contacted her the same day I found the forged documents. She met me in that same hotel room with her laptop, her quiet certainty, and a plan. When the court date arrived, I didn't flinch. I wore navy slacks, my husband's old watch, and every paper that proved the story Caleb had tried to sell was false. 3 doctors, 3 evaluations, all recent, all signed, dated, notarized. Not a trace of cognitive decline, not a shadow of dementia. Then came the flash drive. Marla inserted it into the courtroom monitor. The judge listened in silence as Caleb's voice filled the room. Just say she's declining. That doctor already signed the draft. Then Madison. She won't fight. She still thinks we're her family. Silence followed. A silence I let stretch. The judge finally leaned forward. This is your voice, Mr. Langford. Caleb didn't answer. His lawyer looked at him, then slowly stood. Your Honor, we withdraw our motion. just like that. Motion denied. No ruling in their favor. Not even a hearing scheduled. The sale stood. The house was no longer mine, but more importantly, it was no longer theirs to take. Outside the courtroom, Caleb didn't meet my eyes. Madison wasn't there. Marla placed the file folder gently into my hands. They won't stop. But now they know what you're capable of. I nodded quietly. That was the point. I walked out into the winter light, the courthouse steps firm under my feet, my breath visible in the cold air. And I knew exactly where I needed to go next. The house closed on December 28th. The funds cleared 2 days later. I transferred them to a separate account, one that no one knew existed except me and Marla. I didn't celebrate. I just breathed. On January 3rd, I signed a month-to-month lease on a small apartment 2 blocks from the public library. No porch, no backyard, but no footsteps above me. No eyes watching what pills I took or how long I stayed in bed. It wasn't home, not yet, but it was mine. I brought only what mattered. My wedding photo, a few books. The tea set Caleb once told me was too old-fashioned to display. I used it every morning now. They didn't know where I'd gone. I kept it that way. A week passed, then 2, then a text. Madison, we just wanted to make sure you were safe. No apology, no explanation. Just that thin, hollow phrasing. We just wanted. I stared at it for a long time. The same phone that had recorded their plan, now blinking quietly in my palm. I didn't reply. Because safety doesn't come from people who file petitions behind your back. And love doesn't come wrapped in guardianship papers and padded diagnoses. That day, I bought myself a new set of sheets. White, simple, clean. I hung a calendar in the kitchen and marked the court hearing for their countersuit attempt. I didn't worry. Marla had already filed to dismiss it as retaliatory. From my second-floor window, I could see children walking to school, a mother pushing a stroller. The world moved forward even when trust fell behind. At night, I lit a candle beside the window and read until my eyes grew heavy. They had the address to the house, the one they tried to steal, but they would never find me here. The envelope arrived on a Wednesday. No return address, just my name in blocky, uneven handwriting I hadn't seen since Caleb was 12 and forging excuses for late homework. Inside, 1 page. Mom, I don't know what to say, really. I guess I just want to say I'm sorry for everything. I hope you're okay. No mention of Madison. No mention of the court filings, the fake diagnosis, the forged doctor's note. No mention of trying to take the house. I read it once, then again. Slower the second time, searching for something honest, some edge of accountability. But it was just words. I placed it in a new envelope, wrote across the front in black ink, "Do not return." Tucked it in the back of my filing drawer behind the utilities and doctor's bills. Not out of sentiment, out of record keeping. The next day I received something else, this time from the new owners. A fruit basket, wrapped neatly in cellophane with a card tucked beneath the bow. Thank you for trusting us with your home. We can feel the care in every corner. You left behind kindness. We'll take good care of it. Their names were Michael and Serena. Newly married, expecting their first child. I pictured them repainting the den, pulling weeds from the side yard. Maybe planting something in the front beds come spring. I sat with the card in my lap for a while, letting it settle. Some people take what isn't theirs. Others send baskets and mean it. That evening, I walked to the library and picked up a book on container gardening. My window ledge had just enough light for basil, maybe cherry tomatoes. I liked the idea of growing something small and stubborn. On my way back, my phone buzzed in my coat pocket. Unknown number. I let it ring. They always think I'll answer eventually. By mid-April, I had enough for a down payment. Not from Caleb, not from anyone else, just what I'd saved and what I'd kept. The condo was small, clean, and low to the ground. No stairs, no yard to manage, and most importantly, no guest room. The real estate agent asked if I planned to entertain often. I smiled. Not in this lifetime. I closed on a Thursday morning, walked through each room touching the walls like they might ask me why I'd come. But they didn't. They stood still and waited. The safe arrived 2 days later. New combination, new location, no memories attached. I placed the deed inside and turned the lock. No one else would ever have access again. The night I moved in, I made tea and watched the sky from my living room window. No decorations yet, just peace. Then my phone buzzed. One last time. Caleb. No preview, no subject, just his name. I stared at the screen, thumb hovering. I didn't feel anger, not pity either. Just distance, the kind you don't come back from. I blocked the number without opening the message. That's the part people never understand. Boundaries don't need to be loud. They just need to hold. I placed the phone in the drawer, poured another cup, and sat quietly. Everything I had left was here, and everything I didn't need was gone. Sometimes survival doesn't look like fire or shouting. Sometimes it looks like a lock that clicks closed and never turns again. The door behind me didn't slam. It didn't echo. It just didn't open back up.